Welcome to the show. It's time to dive in. Talking sports with Evan. Let the fun begin. From the Brewers to the Packers, we cover it all. Wisconsin pride, we stand tall. The baggers on the field making history. With every touchdown, it's a victory. From Camp Randall to the court, we cheer loud. Wisconsin sports, we make our state proud. Feel the energy, the passion in the air. Join the conversation, we got stories to share. From the Bucks' big wins to the Brewers' great plays, we'll keep you entertained through all the games. Hey, sports with Evan, it's where we belong. Wisconsin's heart, it beats strong. Take you there. Tune in now, feel the atmosphere. So grab a seat, let's talk it out. With every play, we'll scream and shout. Wisconsin sports, the thrill we embrace. Join us now, let's pick up the pace. From the court to the field, we analyze the game. Every player, every moment will.
Good evening and welcome to Talking Sports with Evan here on YouTube at Talking Sports with Evan, Facebook, Talking Sports with Evan, and on X at Evan with Sport. The podcast will go live on Spotify tomorrow at 8 a.m. for those that prefer to listen to the show rather than watch me talk about it. So thank you so much for watching, for tuning in, for listening later on, however you prefer to engage and listen to the show. You're welcome to comment on anything I'm talking about. Today's show, going to be talking some NFL with Josh Jacobs, and Josh Jacobs' issue with the law and what's come out with that. I'm going to give my thought on that. The Brewers continue to be red hot, but I do have some concerns, and I think there's one thing going to be holding them back, and I'm going to talk about that and also discuss who in baseball as of the last Thursday in May, who are your contenders for the championship? Who are your contenders for the playoffs? And who are your pretenders? And teams that should be probably buying or selling at the deadline. Talk a little bit about that. The MLB owners came out with a counter proposal to the players union in the opening of negotiations for a new CBA, and needless to say, the players union is not happy about it. For the first time in 30 years, the owners proposed a salary hard cap. And 30 years ago is important. 1994, a little over 30 years ago. 1994 was the last time the owners requested a salary cap. And those that were around back then know how that went. We had a strike and the longest work stoppage in modern sports history. I don't know if it's going to quite get to that, but I have some thoughts on the salary cap and salary floor. And the NBA is trying to stop tanking, and they put a proposal out today that is intended to stop the tanking. And I have my thoughts on that, and we'll discuss that as well. So you're welcome to interact with the show. If you want to comment on something I said, if you want a question you want to ask, whatever you want to talk about or discuss, you're welcome to comment during the live show, and I will do my best to address it. And I appreciate you all currently watching live, and appreciate you all. So I'm going to start with the NFL and Josh Jacobs more importantly. It came out Tuesday this week. Today is currently May 28th. So a couple of days ago, 2 days ago, it came out that Josh Jacobs, Packers running back, was arrested and charged with numerous counts of things centered around committing domestic violence. Yesterday, he was released from Brown County Jail when he was supposed to have a 2 o'clock initial appearance. That was canceled. He was not charged formally yesterday, and the district attorney is now stating that they are investigating more on the matter. They need to gather more information first. And a lot of people sharing, see, this proves he didn't do anything. And a lot of people on the opposite side that I don't care what this says. He needs to be kicked off the team. He needs to be released. He needs to be punished. Here's some general information. And I'm not an attorney. I don't pretend to be one. I don't play one on TV. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But I do work closely with attorneys. I do pay attention to the law. I do know. I'm not, like I said, I'm not an attorney, but I know a little bit regarding how the whole process works. So the police reported, I guess it was Saturday, to Jacob's home of a disturbance. Why he wasn't arrested Saturday, I don't know. Or Sunday, whatever day it was, I don't know. He, based off the domestic violence, domestic disturbance guidelines, he should have been. He should have been brought into custody on Saturday or Sunday, whenever the event happened. Instead, they wait 3 days. He turns himself in. First of all, he turned himself in. I saw a lot of, if he didn't do anything, he wouldn't have turned himself in. That is not true. The police department, I almost said Green Bay Police Department. It's not Green Bay. It's a suburb or small town in Brown County near Green Bay. It felt they had enough to arrest, and they got a warrant for his arrest. They went to the DA, presented what they had. The DA signed off on a warrant. He turned himself in. Running away, pulling an O.J. Simpson and running away isn't going to help with anything. It's just going to make the situation worse, especially if he's adamant like he is that he didn't do anything wrong. So him turning himself in to the Brown County Jail should have no impact on if you think he did anything or not. Okay. And I guess I should mention, too, I do not condone any sort of domestic violence. I condemn any kind of domestic violence. I condemn, men putting their hands on women. I condemn all that. But I like to think, depending on who you ask, I like to think I'm an intelligent person. I know a couple people that would highly disagree with that. That's fine. You could think I'm stupid all you want. But I like to think I'm a pretty intelligent person. But like I said, Jacobs turning himself in was not an indication of guilt. It was him basically, hey, you have the warrant for my arrest. I want to get this straightened out. That happens a lot. It does. The next step, the Brown County District Attorney decides, hey, we need further investigation before we decide to formally charge or not. So we're going to release him, and we're going to further our investigation. Again, that happens a bunch. So the question I'm seeing on social media, and I point because my Twitter and X is up over on a screen over to my right. If you see me look over to my right, I guess technically anyways, if you see me glance over this direction sometime, I have a screen over there, and my Twitter's up currently over there. The police have to make their determination based on if they believe there is probable cause that a crime was committed, and Josh Jacobs, in this case, was the one that committed it. That's what they're making their decision to arrest and recommend. And that's the thing. The police are recommending charges to the DA. The police aren't the ones filing the charges. They're recommending charges to the district attorney's office. So the police just have to have probable cause that this happened. They had probable cause that this happened, and they ended up issuing those charge recommendations to the DA. The DA then has to review. They review the information the police provided, reading police reports and watching body cam video and anything else they got. They watch, they look at photos, and they have to decide if there's prosecutorial merit. Can they meet the burden of proof to prove that this happened beyond a reasonable doubt? That's the standard the district attorney is held to. Beyond a reasonable doubt is what you have to show in the court of law if the person is guilty or not. Upon review, based off what the police currently have, the police don't think the district attorney don't feel they have enough to formally charge Josh Jacobs at this time, and they are going to review additional evidence to determine if charges should be filed or not. They could file the charges that the police recommended. They could dismiss it outright that we're not going to issue charges on it, or they can totally charge it as something else. They might think this is just straight up disorderly conduct only, and that's what we're going to charge it at, and that's going to be a completely different situation regarding court of law. But that's why all this is happening right now. It doesn't mean Jacobs is innocent. It doesn't mean he's guilty. It just means that the DA needs additional time to review before they can formally charge. They were not ready to have the initial appearance at that time. So right now, it's just a wait-and-see approach. Also, a lot of people debating on social media about innocent until proven guilty, so we shouldn't, have a view on it or not. Yes, in the court of law, Josh Jacobs is innocent until proven guilty. And it's not just Josh Jacobs saying that, is anybody who gets charged with a crime, they're innocent until proven guilty. The burden is on the prosecution to prove that this was committed beyond a reasonable doubt. So that's the next step in this whole chain of events in the court process. It's the court of law that determines, that you're innocent until proven guilty. In the court of public opinion, full disclosure, I don't have a position on it yet. I need to wait for more information to come out to really understand the scope of everything before I can really formulate if I feel Josh Jacobs should be a Green Bay Packer or not. I don't have enough information at this time to make that determination. Some people have already made that decision that he should be cut, he should be released, he should be in prison. I haven't made that determination yet. And the thing is, in the public opinion scope, it doesn't, the whole innocent until proven guilty doesn't exist. People are going to believe what they want to believe. People are going to feel what they want to feel. People are going to have opinions of their own on the situation. And those opinions come about for various reasons. But the people have the right to have those opinions. But in the law, yes, he's innocent until proven guilty. My position right now, if Josh Jacobs is convicted or admits that he did what he is accused of doing, then he deserves every punishment coming his way. His NFL career, his freedom, whatever. He deserves every punishment coming his way if he is found guilty of these crimes or if he admits that he did this. If he's acquitted, if he's found innocent, if it is found that he had no wrongdoing in any of this, then he deserves to move on with his life and he deserves to try to be a productive member of society and continue his chosen career path. That's my opinion on it. And you can call me a fence sitter for saying that. I'm not taking a hard stance one way or the other. That's just the way it is. I don't have enough information. I have not read a police report. I've not seen a criminal complaint because one doesn't exist. I've not seen witness testimony. I've not seen any arguments made by attorneys. All we have is the 911 call, and we have the Brown County District Attorney's Office's statement that they don't feel there's enough to charge at this time and they need additional information. That's all we have. We can't jump the gun right now. Yes, you as a fan can have an opinion of any view or opinion you want. That's perfectly fine. And if people want to have that opinion, let them. You're allowed to have your opinion, just like Bobby and Joe and Bill and Lonnie and whoever. are allowed to have their own opinion. So, again, if Jacobs is convicted, if Jacobs admits to wrongdoing, then he deserves every punishment that is out there for him. The outside of things, the NFL could suspend Josh Jacobs even if the Brown County District Attorney's Office decide to file charges or not. The NFL can still suspend him. The NFL can still suspend him for typically it's 6 games for first-time offenders. It usually gets appealed down. He doesn't have to be convicted. He doesn't have to even be charged. The NFL standard of proof, burden of proof is different than the court of law. The court of law is beyond a reasonable doubt. I don't know what the NFL standard is. I don't know if it's just it's likely that this happened and it's likely that this is the person that committed this act, hence they need to be suspended. I don't know. I don't know what the NFL's burden of proof is in regards to these things. But he could be suspended. And what does that mean at the running back position? Well, if Josh Jacobs gets suspended, well, the Packers are in big trouble. They got Chris Brooks injured more often than not, Marshawn Lloyd, and a Pierre Strong Jr. Who? That's who they have at the running back position right now. So the Packers would definitely need to explore other options at that position. Now, reason why I think Josh Jacobs will be suspended is NFL mouthpiece Adam Schefter. I'm not going to call him an insider. No disrespect, but I'm not calling him an insider. NFL mouthpiece is already talking about options out there for the Green Bay Packers at the running back position. That's telling me he's getting indication from the league that there is likely going to be a suspension after further investigation. That's what that's telling me. It's likely that a suspension is going to happen. Now, you could always trade for Alvin Kamara. There's like 3 running backs with the Cardinals you can try to trade for now that they drafted Jeremiah Love. You can always try to look through the free agent wire and bring somebody in. There's options out there for the Packers to address the roster. I know that's the least of concerns right now if you're Josh Jacobs and the Green Bay Packers. You just want to see how things play out. But it is something that's going to have to be looked at and something that Brian Gutekunst is going to have to address. Goody will have to address the running back room of the Green Bay Packers regardless now because Jacobs is likely facing a suspension. He'll likely be out for the first 4 to 6 games of the year. And Pierre Strong Jr., Marshawn Lloyd, and Chris Brooks are not the running back trio you want if you want to be a Super Bowl contender. So the season just got harder. And unfortunately, regardless of what happened, Josh Jacobs made decisions, allegedly, that now put the Packers and him and his family in this situation. His actions is why this is happening right now. And I don't know at this time what those actions were, but he's the one that kind of got himself in this situation. So, and all the Packers are going to have to be stuck with the consequences as well. And they're wanting to be a Super Bowl team, and now even more burden is going to be on Jordan Love's shoulders to try to win the season, which I do think that more responsibility should be put on Jordan Love. More responsibility is going to have to be put on Jordan Love, especially early in the year while they're going to be likely short at the running back position. So that's Josh Jacobs' situation in a nutshell. Spent nearly 20 minutes talking about Josh Jacobs. Typically, I want to keep my show 30 minutes. I don't think that's going to happen today. But that's the Josh Jacobs, in my opinion, situation in a nutshell. And a lot of facts in there, some opinion in there. And at the end of the day, you are allowed to believe what you want to believe. You're allowed to have the opinion that you want to have, and that is okay. As long as you're not flat out slandering the man before he has his day in court, because then you can get you sued, you have the right to have the opinion that you want to have in this matter. And typically, life experiences is what forms people's opinions in situations, especially like this. So let people have their feelings. It's okay. Your feelings aren't going to be hurt because I have my feelings. You're allowed to have your own feelings. So, moving on to baseball. I was going to talk Packer roster currently, how it sits. Are they a Super Bowl contender or not? I'm going to kick that down the road. So now we're going to talk some baseball, Milwaukee Brewers. And this is Talking Sports with Evan. You can find the show on Twitter or X at Evan with Sports, or on YouTube and Facebook. Search Talking Sports with Evan. Although on Facebook, there's currently some kind of issue that I just got notified about on the StreamYard website, and I don't know what it is, but hey, what the hell? I'm live on YouTube and X, I know for sure. So at least we got that going for us. But the Milwaukee Brewers continue to be a hot team. They had a great month of May. They lost one series the entire month of May. Pitching has been outstanding. Mizorowski gave up one run so far. He's got one more start the entire month thus far. Kyle Harrelson had an outstanding month. Chad Patrick became more of a bullpen guy, even though he started yesterday. He had an outstanding month. Sprout continues to get better, and the Brewers pitching just looks incredible, even now with Logan Henderson going to the IL with a back strain, for the next 15 days. Woody should be coming back soon, so that's a good thing. The bullpen is getting better. Ashby has a major league leading 9 wins. I mean, they comment on X today, Brent Suter walks or Aaron Ashby could run. You know, Brent Suter was a guy with the Brewers back in 2021 that ended the year with 12 wins. And he started, his nickname was the Raptor, but he started to get the nickname of the Vulture because he would always get put in those situations. Well, he ended up getting the win. And that's kind of what Aaron Ashby is kind of becoming. And it's not so much he's stealing wins. The Brewers are trusting him in extremely high leverage situations out of the pen that he happens to be in the game when, the Brewers might be down a run, they might be tied, might be down 2 runs, and then they take the lead in the next inning, and poof, now he's the pitcher of record if they win and not if they lose, typically. And that's just how it's worked out for Ashby as he's up to 9 wins. Christian Yelich has been outstanding, went 3 for he's back in the leadoff spot, went 3 for 5 the other day from the leadoff spot. The Brewers' bats were silent for about 8 innings yesterday, ended up with the 2-1 victory after getting no hit for 8 innings. They swept the Cardinals. They swept the Yankees. They swept the Cubs. They swept the Cardinals. They've had quite a few sweeps. And overall, I'm very happy at the current state of the Milwaukee Brewers. They're great. Vaughn and Bowers at first base is outstanding currently. Bryce Terang is Bryce Terang. Christian Yelich. You have, Garrett Mitchell is playing pretty good baseball right now after a slump. His last 9 games, he's in the middle 300s. Sal Frelick looked like he's coming around, and Jackson Chourio is an outstanding player. And if you're paying attention at home, you noticed I left an area out. The one issue I have with the Brewers right now is third base and shortstop. And I talked about this last week. What do the Brewers do at third base and shortstop to get better offensive production? Because Joey Ortiz and David Hamilton defensively are outstanding in the field. Rahenfo, not so much. But their bats leave so much to be desired. If Joey Ortiz could just bat 230, I'll take 230 at this point from Joey Ortiz. I would be happy with him playing short. But the problem is he is a dead spot in the order. Hamilton, if he's not bunting for base hits, aside from his last week, if he's not bunting for base hits, he's typically getting out. And Rengifo, the Brewers don't have a home run from the third base position this year. They're the only team in baseball without a home run from that third base position. They have 1 home run from shortstop. They need better production. If you want to compete with the Dodgers, if you want to compete with the Braves, you need better production from that left side of the infield. You just do. You got a huge gap at the bottom of your lineup that is being exposed quite regularly. And yes, I know Rengifo is a big part of the win yesterday, but he's not consistent enough. You have Cooper Pratt in AAA, who could be an option, but you still want him to get more reps and more at-bats at the minor league level. You got other options that you could call up as well. Or do you trade? Do you look to see what's out there and trade for a third baseman and shortstop for a short-term stopgap until a Cooper Pratt is ready, likely next year? Problem is there's not really a lot of good options out there for trades, especially the type of player the Brewers look for. Maybe Nolan Arenado becomes an option down the road. I don't know. And I'm just spitballing names out there. But the Brewers love versatility. They love the fact that Hamilton can play short, second base, third base. They love that Jory Ortiz can play shortstop, second base, third base. They love that Rengifo can play all 3 spots. That's what the Brewers do. They love versatility. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of those guys out there. And there's not a lot of bats out there in general that you can maybe go get. As much as the Brewers don't need pitching, that's probably their avenue in regards to trying to put them over the top. Because if the other team can't score, they ain't going to win. I don't think they go get Scubo. I know that I've saw Ken Rosenthal put that out there, that the Brewers do have the ability to go get him for the rest of the year if they want. I saw a Brewer account put that out there, and I don't want to say Brewer fan account because they're the biggest complainers, everything Brewers you can think of all the time. Put that out there. I think that's the avenue the Brewers have to go. Get a Scubo, and you have a pitching rotation becomes even more dangerous. Mizorowski, Harrelson, Scubo, Woody, Sprout. You got a rotation that's dangerous. And the fact is, Quinn Priester is likely not coming back this year. He can't get a good grip on the ball. I don't know if he's still having numbness issue in his hands. He had that issue where he had a procedure on his wrist, but he just can't really seem to get a good grip on the ball, it seems like. I don't know if it's still the numbness or what's going on. But he's definitely not ready, and he probably won't be ready anytime soon, and he may have to have a surgery. He may eventually have to have a surgery to basically what's called remove a rib and go from there. But I don't know what direction the Brewers do at the deadline, but they definitely need to figure out a way to improve their left side of the infield, third base and shortstop, or it's going to be a very quick postseason. And that leads me right into Contenders Pretenders. The Brewers are a contender. They are now 4.5 up on the Cardinals. They didn't even play today, and they gained ground, it looks like. But the Cardinals lost 4 straight. The Reds have lost 1 in a row. The Pirates have lost 1 in a row. The Cubs have won 1 in a row. The Brewers have won 3 straight. The Brewers are currently first place in their division, the division that is currently the best division in baseball because every team in that division is over 500. But I do believe that the Brewers are legit playoff contenders. But like last year, they're going to hit a wall. And we saw this past weekend with the Los Angeles Dodgers in town what that's going to look like. The Brewers won game 1 of that series, and things were fine. They didn't make any mistakes, and they just played good baseball other than the offense only scoring in the first inning. Overall, they played good baseball. Then came Saturday. They walked a lot of guys on Saturday, and it came back to bite them on the ass. Sunday. They walked some guys on Sunday. Got traffic on the bases for the Dodgers. Ended up biting them on the ass. The problem is when you play a team like the Dodgers, when you play a team like the Atlanta Braves, when you make mistakes, you're going to pay. The Dodgers lineup is too good to give them extra at bats. The Dodgers lineup is too good to give them extra opportunities at the plate. So you got to get them out when you have the chance to get them out. Otherwise, you're going to be home after being swept in a 4-game series in October against the Dodgers. And you could put the Braves in that category too right now. As of right now, May 28th, I only see 2 current teams in the National League that I feel are legit World Series contending teams. That's the Braves and that's the Dodgers. Those are the only 2 World Series contending teams I see in the NL. The Phillies are playing really good baseball right now, winners of 3 in a row, 6-4 in their last 10 games. They've gotten pretty hot since firing their manager. But I still think in the National League right now it comes down to the Dodgers and the Braves. I just think that's what it comes down to. The American League, hard to say. There's not a team in the American League West that is over 500. The Mariners are the closest at 28 and 29. The first through fifth, and then the last place Angels are only 16. So that division is anybody's ball game. The AL Central, first through third place, is with a separation of 5.5 games. The Guardians currently lead the division. The White Sox are 3 games out, and the Twins are 5.5 games out of first. And the American League East, Tampa Bay Rays are 1.5 games ahead of the Yankees, and the Blue Jays are 8.5 back, and Baltimore is 9.5 back. Toronto and Baltimore, the teams that represented the ALCS last year, not having a great year. Although the Mariners are likely going to win their division based off the fact that the division is made up of the Astros, the Angels, the Rangers, and the Athletics. Likely they're going to win that division. The American League, it's hard to say who is a World Series contender because every team is flawed. Every team has their issues. But if I had to, right now, gun to my head, who's going to the World Series out of the American League, I would put that at the New York Yankees and the Cleveland Guardians second because I do still like the Cleveland Guardians bullpen. I think those are the only 2 true World Series contenders in the American League. But the thing is, it's hard to say that for sure because the American League is so tightly bound together. The Yankees have the best record at 34-19, and their worst record is a tie between the Tigers and the Angels at 22-35. So when you look at the National League, best record is the Braves at 38-19, and the worst record is the Rockies at 20-37. But that's my thought. I think there's really only 2 teams in the National League and 2 teams in the American League right now that are true World Series contenders. And it doesn't mean that the Mariners can't become contenders if they get guys playing better and mainly the big dump, get him playing better and maybe make a couple trades. The White Sox could get hot again. The Astros team is supposed to be too good to be this bad. And, maybe the Tigers get healthy and go on a Cinderella run. I don't know. But that's my thought on contenders and pretenders in the National League and the American League. I'm not sold on Washington right now, who's 29-28. I think they're still a little too young. Tampa Bay, I know they're first in the division by 1.5 games. I'm not 100% sold on Tampa Bay right now, although they are 14-12 against teams over 500. Well, the Yankees are 1-7. So maybe I'm totally wrong there. For those wondering, the Brewers are 23-12 against teams over 500. So I wanted to talk NBA anti-tanking rules. I wanted to get more into the CBA stuff, but that's going to have to wait until next week, as I've now gone 34 minutes talking Jacobs and now the Brewers and contenders and pretenders in the Major League Baseball. So I do appreciate each and every one of you that is watching the show live. I appreciate each and every one of you that is going to watch the video later. I appreciate each and every one of you that is going to view the show via Spotify, which that audio podcast will be out tomorrow morning at roughly 8 o'clock. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your night, and I will get back at you next week for another episode of Talking Sports with Evan.